science is like what goes on into the everyday lives of like what scientists do. That was never actually taught.
Hi everyone, I'm Isabel Ho, and today we are here with Dr. Li from the Genome Institute of Singapore.
Hello.
So we'd like to start by sharing a little bit about yourself and how you started on your research journey.
Okay, my name is Jingmei. I'm from the Genome Institute of Singapore, A-STAR. I lead a group called the Women's Health and Genetics. Mostly it's the people. Because I never really thought about what I wanted to do when I was young, and I don't think that job description ever came up in the picture books when we were young. Like, you know, you have figures showing nurse, doctor, lawyer. There are different professions that were given as options to us when we were in kindergarten, and you learn about all these different names and professions. But scientists never actually came up, and the intricacies of like different types of science. Like we never really were introduced to the whole concept of what doing science is. We were taught science, but how do we do science? It's like what goes on into the everyday lives of like what scientists do. That was never actually taught. So then I guess I was lucky. So in university, of course there's a lot of research going on, and then I thought, I have so much free time during my holidays, why don't I just get myself attached to a lab? And I was like, oh my god, there's so many logbooks, so many different new computer programs, so many different things to learn. Like science is not just about science. It's like it's not just about data, but it's also about the whole process of collecting data, generating that data, which takes up like 90% of your time before you go on a eureka moment. Oh my god, I see a pattern, and then I can do something with this. So it's really the people who gave me opportunities in NUS, National University of Singapore. I attended a lot of seminars and find interesting people to speak to, and then there was an opportunity for a scholarship, and then there's also an opportunity and opening for a place for me to do a PhD in Sweden. And I really love the department there. It's like I think I went there because I love the environment. I didn't actually know what I was getting into because I never learned about coding and so on. It was a totally different field of science, because in university I was doing projects on, for example, basic PCR, or plants, like growing plants, the carnivorous plants, pitcher plants, independenthes. So it's like monkey cups, growing them, what kind of medium, what kind of nutrients would make them grow fastest in very tiny cups. I never actually knew that they can be so tiny and the cups are so little. So you can make miniature plants. Cockroaches, I was every day I was like extracting different chemicals. They have data, they have patients, and then we have all the genotyping technologies, which were very front edge back then. That just, everything just fell into place. I mean, there wasn't a lot of thinking. I just went for the people I like, the environment. I mean, the environment is very important, I think. You wouldn't do well in a lab or an institute which you don't feel like you're part of. So that's where I still am. So I started off as an intern in the Genome Institute of Singapore 2006. That's where I did my 1 year, and then I went overseas, on the same floor actually. So 2017 I came back and started my own group.
And then what led you to start inspiring girls and women through STEM?
Again, I never had, unlike myself, a very noble. So whenever there's a chance for me to help students in the initiatives, I would. In any alumni events, mentoring. So every time any school or any organization asks me to do something for them, I'm always the first one to say yes, unless it's like really, there's a time clash or something. So I always make time to fit or contribute to any of these initiatives that might be helpful now.
And then perhaps what's the most fun part of your day?
Coming up with new ideas and dashing old ideas. It's like, one day you might think that this is the perfect way of like doing this project. Then the next day it's like, hey, we try some things, and then it's like, maybe not. It's like, let's pull in someone else and get their perspective. And I think that's very important, because even in clinical science, for example, there are a lot of things that we think, wow, we're gonna help humanity, we're going to save all these lives, but maybe whatever you develop might not be used by anybody. I think that's a very real challenge. So I realized that it's very important to get feedback. Just the simple fact that something works. For example, if it's a very menial task of like annotating a genome, for example.
And then what is one thing that you want to share about breast cancer research?
So there are different parts, right? You have your before the disease, the diagnosis and treatment, and then also the survivorship. So for me, I always like to think that because drug companies are already, pouring in so much resources into developing drugs, then why should we use? Just for me, so it's like why should we be using taxpayers' money, to do that as well? It's like, can we do something more upstream?
Right.
Can we do identification of people who are at high risk of breast cancer, different risk factors? Because breast cancer is not just one disease. It's really a different, a pot of different tumors, and just because they happen in the breast, it's called breast cancer. And also different people are at different risk levels. For breast cancer, it's not just one disease. It's also a multitude of different risk factors. And there are different things that would combine together that would determine your personal risk of developing breast cancer. So that's what I'm working on, trying to compute things that would actually describe a woman individually, because now the screening programs, they really just categorize women based on age, even though age is of course the major risk factor for any cancer. But for breast cancer, because there's so many other risk factors and there's so many nuances, it's like, are we actually doing the woman right by saying that, oh, you should start screening at this certain age, where maybe someone younger at age 35 is already at the same risk level. So that's what we're trying to do for the breast cancer scene in Singapore.
And then for all the young scientists out there, would you have any words of advice for them, especially girls?
Have fun. Stay interested and find your interest. Find your interest and stay interested. I think that's very important. And find people who would champion you and support you in your journey, and you will enjoy your journey.
Thank you so much,
No
Dr. Li, for your
worries.
sharing.
Thank you.